Hello there, Gunpla fans of YouTube. It is I, DZ Maven. Time for another Gunpla review unscripted. Straight from the desk, straight to you. And today, I have a special kit. Maybe an overlooked kit of recent release. This is the entry grade RX-782 Gundam. You may be wondering, why am I reviewing an entry grade kit? Well, a couple of reasons. One, it was cheap. Two, I was kind of curious just how good or bad it might actually be. So, but let me just get some general information here out of the way. This kit came out in May of 2021, so pretty new, for the very economical price of 700 yen. I do also want to add in quotes here, just kind of, or not quotes, just no asterisks here, if I can pronounce things correctly here, of a release date of September 2020. It originally did come out in September 2020, but that was only available at the Gundam base in Japan at that time. The actual full-on regular release wasn't until May 2021, so I'm going to go with the May 2021 release date, because that's when everybody kind of got access to it. The other thing I want to mention here is there are a few different purchasing variations of this kit. This is just the standard one here that's kind of readily available in the West. However, there is a slightly cheaper version that's 500 yen that doesn't come with any accessories, doesn't have the beam rifle or shield. Comes in a little bag, doesn't have a nice box with it or anything like that. And there's also a slightly better version with that's a little bit more expensive for 1,000 yen. That comes with extra accessories like the actual beam sabers, bazooka, javelin, and the Gundam hammer. I don't think that version's available on the West. I think that probably might be an exclusive in Japan or Gundam base, that sort of thing. But anyway, that's kind of the general information about this kit. Let me just, let's just get into the photo gallery here while I'm talking here. So, it's a pretty basic box. Now, if you've ever built the high-grade Universal Sentry after Colony Leo, this kit bears some similarities in terms of its construction setup with that kit, although it's not quite nearly as nice as that kit, because that's an actual high-grade kit. But this does use a very similar construction methodology, I want to say. So, here's what you get when you open the box. It's a small box, it's not very big. Very simple instruction booklet. You have like 4 runners in the entire kit, as long as you don't break them apart, as they might suggest here. Pretty decent manual comes with. I mean, if you can't figure out how to build a Gundam after building several kits like I have, then maybe this is a good place to start. If you built the RX-72 Gundam several times, you should know what it looks like by now. So, it shouldn't be that hard to figure out. If you watch my live build stream, I went ahead and just kind of built it straight off the runners. I didn't do anything for this. I did it the way Bandai says you can build it. Just pull the parts straight off the runner and put it together. That's what I did. I didn't even look at the directions until I was done, just to make sure I had everything correct here. But like I said, construction is very simple for this kit. It's just, I mean, you'd be hard-pressed to go wrong messing anything up on this kit. Give you a little blurb here. What is a Gundam? A general term for a mobile suit Gundam series. It features battles between 18-meter-tall robots called mobile suits, and shows the growth of the protagonist. The mobile suits have cutting-edge abilities that the protagonist pilot are called Gundams. Also, they seem to have translations for, I want to say, Spanish and French in here. I'm not 100% certain on that. It looks like Spanish and French, but I'm just going to assume that they are. I'm sure somebody who knows these languages can probably recognize it right off the bat. So what is Gunpla? It is a general term for plastic model kits featuring mobile suits in the Mobile Suit Gundam series. Gunpla was born in 1980 and has since kept evolving so that anyone can easily make cool mobile suits. And here it says how simple this kit is. No glue is required. No paint is required. And most importantly, no tools are required. You don't need any tools. No nippers, no nothing. No knives. So, a little bit about the high grades here. And just telling you, if you put some extra effort, panel line your kit, it'll look nicer. And yeah. So we get here. So here's the runners. As you can see, the first runner, it's actually technically 2 runners, but they're joined together. You can break them apart, and if you want to, I don't really see a reason to do that, because now what I was saying about the Leo here, the way the high-grade AC Leo was laid out on its runner made it very easy to assemble each section. Like, all the arm parts were in one section, all the torso parts were in one part, all the leg parts were in one part, and it was very easy to put together. This kit uses the same idea. All the parts are organized in a way that makes it very simple to put together. So what you need is kind of generally laid out where you want it to be. It's not really a complicated mold, as I said. It's pretty self-explanatory and straightforward. And surprisingly, it's kind of better quality than I expected. I was expecting this thing to be kind of not that great, but it actually it surprised me. It actually is better than I thought it would be. One thing I will mention, that the white plastic they use on this kit is not really a pure white. You can kind of see the difference here in the photos here. The background is a pure white. The actual color of the plastic has like a slight tint of blue-green to it. I'm not sure why they went with that color for this kit, but just kind of want to point that out for anybody kind of wondering. And for what it looks like when... Yeah, I took this picture after I finished my live build, just to kind of show you what the kit looks like. If you just build it straight off the runners, this is what it's going to look like. It's a little rough, but it's still workable. Fine. I mean, there's no panel lining or anything under this. It's just... It's the way it looks. Here's it standing up. Proportion-wise, it's actually pretty good, I would say. And of course, it has pretty decent... Actually, it has a surprisingly good level of color separation for such a cheap kit. I really want to point out the crotch right here. That is all colored in plastic separated. That's all color separated. There's no sticker there. There are high-grade Universal Sentry Gundams that use stickers for that part. This doesn't use stickers. It's like done very well. There's the backside of the kit. I know the nubs are going to drive people crazy. Don't worry, the nubs are not going to be there forever because I did clean it up. I panel lined it, cleaned up the nubs, and did a little bit of detail painting just to kind of make the kit look nicer, as I would with most of my regular builds. So this is what it looks like with extra effort done, the proper effort done to it. It looks a lot nicer now. And to be perfectly honest, this looks very comparable to a high-grade Universal Sentry Gundam kit. You would have to look like really closely at it to kind of pick out a few details that would stand out to kind of like little tells, let you know that this is not quite a high-grade kit. But just at a glance, it's like this almost looks like a high-grade kit, and it's so incredibly cheap. And the articulation is actually pretty decent too. I mean, look at that arm bend. That's a good arm bend. You can do kind of the crouch pose. Is I don't know what you call this pose. It's like the Hulk out pose or whatever. You can do that. But pretty much what I was trying to do is show the torso bend here. The torso does bend. The only downside is you both have like a massive gap right here. That'll be pretty visible when you do that. Try not to stare at the gap. Crouch down pose. It can do that. Again, entry grade kit. You wouldn't think the articulation would be this good, but it actually is. And just some more posing. Yes, both the arms can stick straight up. Like, there are high-grade Gundam kits that can't do that. Here's the bottom of the feet. I didn't bother paneling the bottom of the feet because you don't really see the bottom of the feet that often, but I will point out that you do get slow. The feet are not completely filled in on the bottom, so there's kind of one little niggle there to kind of keep in mind, but again, it's the bottom of the feet. You're not really going to see that bottom of the feet that often. The other thing is this back here. on the back end of the waist here, you do get a little plug for a reaction base, but behind that there's this giant hole in the back, which I have no idea what that's for. Maybe that's where the bazooka would attach to, possibly on that more expensive version. That's the only guess I can make, because I can't think of anything else that would go there. You do get Beam Saber handles. Yes, that is correct, I said Beam Saber handles. You don't get any Beam Saber blades with this kit, so again, that is kind of a one negative here. I don't think it would have been that hard for Bandai to just include some cheap Beam Saber blades for this kit, just to kind of round out the accessories, because it's the Gundam. It's well known for its beam rifle and its beam saber, so you really have a beam rifle, you don't have the beam saber though. But if you have some extra 1/144th beam sabers around, you can kind of niggle or modify them slightly to fit in these, so it wouldn't be that hard to find an extra beam saber just to kind of plug in here. Here it is up on the action base. Again, just use a little peg plug. It'll just fit right in there. Really easy. Trying out a few poses with this. I painted the scope in, by the way. That's why it's yellow. It doesn't come yellow. This comes in gray plastic. Yeah. So here it is next to the old high-grade Universal Sentry Gundam. It's the only other really 1/144th high-grade Gundam kit I have to compare it against, and to be honest, I'm kind of hard-pressed to decide which of these is better. The high-grade Universal Sentry kit has more accessories, but I feel like the build of the entry grade here is probably a little better. There are fewer seam lines on the entry grade, while the old high-grade Universal Sentry has a lot of seam lines on it. You can see them right in the picture here. And I kind of do like the proportions of the entry grade a little better. Just to be honest. So, I don't know. Now, I don't have the high-grade Universal Sentry Revive, so I can't really compare it against that. But I think the proportions are more closer to the HTUC Revive Gundam. Maybe someday I'll get one of those just to kind of compare it against that. But here it is against the Master Grade 2.0, just to show you the size difference. The Master Grade 2.0 is still a pretty nice kit. Can't deny that. Anyway, let's switch over to live view here. Alright, so here is HTUC Revive. Light probably is. Whoops, didn't mean to turn my light off. Turn it down a little bit here. A little bright. But you know, as I kind of said before, I'm kind of surprised at how nice this kit actually is. Give you a little closer look at the beam rifle here. And focus here. In terms of seam lines, there is going to be a seam line along the beam rifle. You want to be, yeah, this is one thing. You want to be careful about this little end piece here. It's on a very thin piece of plastic. I probably should have glued that before it breaks off completely, but just be careful about that. There's a seam line that kind of runs down the beam rifle. Seam line on the lower leg here, kind of hard to see. You see it across the back here. And I guess if you want to count, this as a seam line, you probably have to fill that in. But other than that, there really aren't any seam lines on the kit. Most of the head comes in one piece, so you won't have to worry about like sandwiching the head pieces together or anything like that. It just comes together. You just have to kind of clean up the mold edging on it. That's all. I did take the little flags off the antennas because I always like to do that with my high grades because this looks better. And yeah, one thing I've noted, they don't have any gray piece or gray or black piece that goes around the eyes here. It's just an empty space around the eyes, so it kind of has a shadow around it. They mentioned this on the box, but it's basically to simulate the dark areas around the eye, and for such a cheap idea, it actually works pretty well. I mean, you'd have to shine a flashlight into here to actually be able to tell that there's no black piece in there, but it works pretty well. Now the torso, or as you can see here, the head has a pretty good range of motion. It goes all over. Torso can bend back a little bit like so, bend all the way forward like that if you really wanted to. Actually, that's kind of coming out a little bit there. This upper red piece here does kind of slide down a little bit, leaving a little bit of a gap there, so that does kind of bug me, but it's not really a huge deal. Try to straighten it out a little bit here, but yeah. The waist, ankle, this moves up. Probably think the torso is in the way a little bit. You move up like so. There's no gray inside of here, so you would if this kind of bugs you, you'd have to paint all of that, but it's not really that big a deal. This piece came off. There's your leg. Oh, pieces are just coming off here because I didn't glue anything on here except for the Actually, I didn't glue anything on here. Yeah, that's your leg bend. Pretty decent leg bend. There's a foot. Let's show them off like that. I will say, despite all of these plastic on plastic joints, the knee joint does feel a little loose. It is a bit loose. I wouldn't really worry about it too much because there's not really any weight on this, so I think it'll hold together pretty decently over time. Yeah, backpack, head details. I mean, it's a Gundam. I mean, what else there is to say about it? Beam saber, no blades, as I've already mentioned. So you can take the shield off if you want and stick it on the back. It does give you that option if you want to do that. Get the handle. You only get one set of hands, by the way. It's only these open fist hands. Shield handle, stick back like that, and you can stick it on the back and have it stowed away like that. Alternatively, if you want to be like really weird, you can stick it on the inside of the arm, because we have the peg holes on the inside of the arm like that. I don't know why you want to do that, but if you want to be weird, you can do that. Let's do it like that. But yeah, that's really about all I can say about the review of this thing. So, at the end of the day, it's like, who exactly is this kit for, exactly? Like, when you have choices between, like, the high-grade versions of the Gundam and this, is there a reason to get this? Because the high-grade Universe Sentry Revived Gundam is also 1,000 yen, and that will give you the beam sabers, the hyper bazooka, and probably slightly better build quality than this, but this isn't bad for 700 yen. I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you. I'm surprised at how nice this is, despite being supposed to be like the entry grade, the first basic, bring a basic Gunpla kit. I think it's pretty good, actually. So, alright, so I'm thinking, like, for people who are, like, interested in making a lot of dioramas or just want to experiment with customizations and custom painting and colors, this is probably a cheap kit just to experiment on because it doesn't require a lot of investment and it's pretty simple to put together pretty quick. You won't have to do a lot of seam line cleanup on this thing, so it's kind of ready to paint, like, right away, in my opinion. So if you want to just get a cheap kit to experiment on, this is probably a good kit to experiment with. I'm probably going to be doing something with this kit in the future. I really haven't decided yet what I'm going to do. Like, I want to do some sort of custom color paint on this here at some point. In the future I'll do that, but yeah, that's that is about all I have to say about the entry grade Gundam. Yeah, so hope you enjoyed this review, and maybe you want to consider picking one of these up. I think they're pretty, even if you're a veteran builder, it's probably worth checking this out just for the hell of it, because it is so cheap. And just to think, like, yeah, how good can you make a cheap kit? Probably a lot of ways you can probably make this thing really good. So, alright, that's going to be it for this review. Thanks for watching, and I will see see you next time with my next review or my next live build video, whenever that comes out. Gundam. The most basic of Gundam kits. For now. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.